I'm often asked questions like, Bruce, I have a budget of about $2,500. I could stretch up to 3,000. What is the absolute nicest watch that I can get for my money? And, I think about this type of question because obviously I don't want to lead anybody astray or give a foul suggestion. But oftentimes, I think if you want the most for your money, you're not necessarily going to find that from a mainstream luxury brand. And you might want to look into something like this Brellum Pilot Power Gauge Chronometer, a recent release from Brellum. And I believe the third or fourth Brellum that I've had on the channel over the years. And every time I get one of Sebastian's watches, one of his designs, I'm always impressed by the level of luxury that he is able to bring in for the price point. So these still are very substantively priced watches, right? 3,000 roughly Swiss francs or US dollars. But considering what you do get quite a bit. And, when you hold this watch, when you put it on wrist, when you see it in the flesh, you really notice the detail work. You notice the fit and the finish. You look at this beautiful Valjoux-based chronograph here, this automatic chronograph that is COSC certified with blued screws, Geneva striping, micro perlage work, a custom skeleton rotor. Obviously, you have your hours, minutes, second, date, and then the power gauge function, which is nice. And you'll see that next to the 3 o'clock position on the dial. And if we look at the dial, you guys can see a very full dial when it comes to the real estate here, but very balanced. It's not cluttered. It's not overly done for the sake of filling all the void. If you look at the surface area, we either have sunken registers, we have appliques done in just a very nice satinized north to south finish. We have an alpha style handset, and notice that style is also replicated on the smaller hands on the micro registers. And you guys can see a small amount of lume application there. And I don't know, just the more you spend time with the watch and you look at the details, the more you notice those little nuances, the finessed elements, and you really appreciate that level of luxury that Sebastien brings to every one of his designs. So let's talk strengths and let's talk weaknesses of this new release, the Pilot Power Gauge Chronometer. We're going to focus in on the details, and hopefully by the end of the video, you will have felt like I've given this watch a very fair shake and you feel like you have a good handle on this watch in case you're cross-shopping this or maybe looking into buying at that entry-level luxury price of, say, $2,500 to $3,500. I think this is definitely one that would be advantageous to look into and see if you can connect with it. So let's talk about the strengths first. And for me, I like the solid bracelet here. The last time I reviewed a Brellum, Sebastien didn't have a bracelet option, and I think this, when it comes to the design language, it enhances the architecture or design of the entire package and brings a little bit of finesse to just to the aesthetic. I like the minimal use of polishing, and overall, it feels very solid. And I do like the push button clasp here. It's not bulky. It doesn't rise over the overall height of the links in the back. So it flows well and brings a little bit of balance to what is a pretty top heavy watch, a very solid piece. Now, I like the bracelet. I like the use of color. This particular version has kind of a pale blue, desaturated sunray dial. Very small use of red accenting. I think there's some good versatility here. Whether you're using it on the bracelet or putting it on a traditional leather, you can also opt for this with a black dial, a white dial, and of course this is the blue option, leather or a bracelet. And my favorite element is probably actually turning the watch over and taking a look at the movement through this box sapphire crystal. It's a pretty unique design. You don't see it very often to have a box sapphire crystal on the reverse of the case, and you really view the movement in a different dynamic. I guess you could say that this has a more immersive or expansive viewing experience because you're almost seeing the entirety of the movement from an angle that you generally wouldn't. When you're looking at a traditional case back, an open case back, you get almost a porthole look at the movement. Maybe you see the majority of the rotor, but certainly not to the degree that it's displayed here. And then you can notice those nice elements, the blued screws, the Geneva striping, the engine turn perlage work, the custom rotor, and appreciate the fact that this is an accurate chronometer certified by the COSC. And I think that really adds to the value proposition that you like to see at the luxury price point. One of the elements where you're feeling like you're getting a good level of watch for that amount of money that you're putting into this. Now, let's talk about negative elements or areas for improvement. And I've really only found one here in my week with this watch, and that is the reverse of the watch. On this case back, you guys can see some very sharp engraving here, the text surrounding that beautiful box sapphire crystal. It is very defined, and if you run your fingers over it, it's a bit harsh, and that is not, that's not something that you want to see on a luxury price point Swiss chronograph. And other Brellums that I've reviewed in the past, specifically the Wyvern, it carried the same type of feel here, but it was covered with a very clear coating that was absolutely smooth to the touch as you ran your finger over it. And I would like to see that inclusion here on this Pilot Power Gauge Chronometer. I did talk to Sebastien about that, and he told me because the watch has the box sapphire crystal, and that is the contact point for your wrist, it really isn't necessary because it's not, you don't have a hotspot contact point there. And I have to say, he does have a point, but it would be a nicer consumer experience if we did get that clear coating over this very deep, sharp, and beautiful engraving. So that concludes my presentation. Guys, what do you think of this Brellum Pilot Power Gauge Chronometer? I hope the quality has come through here in the pictures and videos, and you guys can see the crispness and the clarity and the detail work and the way this sits on wrist. It really is one of those watches where when you see it in person, you go, wow, this is a nice watch. It might not be the biggest name brand, doesn't carry that name brand recognition, that cachet that sometimes we like to have as watch enthusiasts when we're spending, entry-level luxury money. But it certainly is a sharp piece, and I want to thank Sebastien for sending this in, letting me check it out, and share with you guys here on the channel. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. A link to Brellum will be in the description of the video. Thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.